The World Economic Forum has officially begun in Davos. US President Donald Trump has given the opening speech at the summit, which is taking place as the Senate in Washington prepares to open his impeachment trial. The president used his address to pitch the United States to the global business community, saying his country has seen an economic turnaround that is, in his words, nothing short of spectacular. He also used the platform to criticize climate change activists, some of them who are attending the event, calling them prophets of doom. Have a listen.
This is not a time for pessimism. This is a time for optimism. Fear and doubt is not a good thought process, because this is a time for tremendous hope and joy and optimism and action. But to embrace the possibilities of tomorrow, we must reject the perennial prophets of doom and their predictions of the apocalypse. They are the heirs of yesterday's foolish fortune tellers, and I have them, and you have them, and we all have them. And they want to see us do badly, but we don't let that happen.
Joining me now is DW's Janelle Domalan. She is part of the DW team in Davos. Welcome, Janelle. Now, one of Donald Trump's more esoteric comments, talking about prophets of doom and fortune tellers. What's been the reaction there?
Esoteric is a nice word, Rita, probably kinder than the words many would use here to describe that particular soundbite, that particular part of his speech. And he also said it in the same breath as he said that the U.S. was going to join a 1 trillion tree planting initiative. And it was really the only nod to the environment in his entire speech. It came very late, and it very much communicated to the listening audience where his priorities were in terms of the environment, which is to say, not very high. Everybody noticed that at the sort of forum where sustainability has been the buzzword throughout.
Now, Donald Trump was making the keynote speech address at Davos, and he spoke for quite a while. What else struck you about what he said?
Well, it was certainly a very colorful speech that he had. He talked about how the U.S. was an exploding geyser of economic opportunity, followed by the wreckage left by previous administrations. I guess what was most noteworthy about this speech was how out of step it was with the topic and also with the audience. Remember that this is a forum about multilateralism and cooperation, but his speech was a campaign rally-style speech that seemed more designed for the voters at home, who are, of course, going to vote in the upcoming elections, or perhaps even as a distraction to the impeachment proceedings that are facing him also at home. So in the end, this was a speech about the U.S., a speech about himself, and that had actually very little to do with the goals that the World Economic Forum is at least purportedly trying to achieve here.
And Janelle, Greta Thunberg has also been talking to delegates in Davos. And one of the things she said was combating climate change is not about politics. Let's just take a quick listen to that.
From a sustainability perspective, the right, the left, as well as the center have all failed. No political ideology or economic structure has been able to tackle the climate and environmental emergency and create a cohesive and sustainable world. Because that world, in case you haven't noticed, is currently on fire.
So, Janelle, that was quite a fresh perspective there from Greta Thunberg. She seemed to be saying an entire generation, the older generation, is failing the environment regardless of political direction. What else did she have to say?
I think along those lines, one of the most powerful things that she had to say was that the older generation should behave like it loves its children. So she was saying that there shouldn't be a low-carbon economy, there shouldn't be low emissions, there should be zero emissions, and that is the way towards saving the future of these children. Now, what she's hoping to do here is to be able to convince industry to follow her lead on this and turn its back on fossil fuels. Now, whether this will actually happen, they support her outwardly, but whether this will actually happen is something that we're going to have to see after the World Economic Forum. They have to play the long game here.
Right, so two very, very different visions coming out of Davos on the first day of the World Economic Forum Summit, one from Donald Trump, one from Greta Thunberg, and our very own Janelle Dumoulin bringing us up to date on the very latest from there. Thank you very much, Janelle.